Captain Jake Morrison stood in the command center of Earth Defense Station Alpha, watching the green lights flash across his control panel. The night shift was always quiet, but tonight felt different. The deep space sensors had been picking up strange signals for the past 3 hours, and Jake could not shake the feeling that something big was coming. The quantum communication array suddenly came alive with a sharp beep. Jake looked at the screen and saw something that made his blood run cold. The signal was coming from outside the solar system, from a direction where no human ship had ever traveled. The encryption was unlike anything Earth had ever seen before. Jake pressed the red button on his desk. Within minutes, Admiral Lisa Carter was on the screen, her face serious and alert. She had been Earth's top military commander for 10 years, and Jake had never seen her look worried before. Tonight was different. "What do we have, Captain?" Admiral Carter asked, her voice steady but tense. Jake pulled up the data on his main screen. "Admiral, we are getting a transmission from deep space. The signal is using quantum entanglement technology that we have never seen before. It is directed specifically at Earth, and it is encrypted with mathematical patterns that suggest non-human origin." Admiral Carter was quiet for a long moment. Earth had been expecting this day for decades. Ever since humans had started exploring beyond their solar system, scientists had wondered when they would meet other intelligent life. Now it seemed that day had finally arrived. "Send the signal to the decode center immediately," Admiral Carter ordered. "And wake up Commander Ryan Webb. We need our best intelligence officer on this right now." The next few hours passed slowly. Jake watched as teams of scientists and military experts worked to break the alien encryption. The mathematics were incredibly complex, but slowly the message began to take shape. When the final translation appeared on the screen, Jake felt his heart skip a beat. The message was from something called the Galactic Council. It was a formal communication, written in the style of an official government document. But the content was anything but friendly. Admiral Carter arrived at the station just as the full translation was completed. She read the message twice, her face growing more grim with each word. Commander Ryan Webb stood beside her, his usual calm expression replaced by deep concern. "Read it out loud?" Admiral Carter said to Jake. "I want everyone to hear this." Jake cleared his throat and began to read. "To the inhabitants of the third planet of the star system you call Sol, you are hereby notified that your species has been observed by the Galactic Council for the past 50 of your years. Your rapid technological development and expansion into space has been noted with great concern." Jake paused, looking around the room at the faces of his fellow officers. Everyone was listening intently. "The Galactic Council, representing 12 advanced species of this galactic sector, has determined that your species poses a potential threat to the stability and peace of established galactic civilization. Your aggressive nature and rapid military advancement cannot be allowed to continue unchecked." The room was completely silent now. Jake continued reading. "Therefore, the Galactic Council hereby demands the following actions from your species within 30 standard galactic days. First, you must immediately cease all military space operations and recall all armed vessels to your home planet. Second, you must dismantle all weapon systems capable of interplanetary operation. Third, you must submit to Galactic Council authority and accept placement under our protection and guidance." Jake looked up at Admiral Carter, who nodded for him to continue. "Failure to comply with these demands will result in military action against your planet. The Galactic Council has never failed to bring a resistant species into compliance. Do not make the mistake of believing your primitive technology can stand against our combined fleets. You have 30 days to respond with your acceptance of these terms." The message ended with coordinates for a response transmission and a complex digital signature that proved its authenticity. Jake set down the tablet and looked around the room. Everyone was staring at him in shock. Commander Webb was the first to speak. "Admiral, our intelligence suggests this is genuine. The transmission technology alone is centuries ahead of anything we have. The mathematical proofs in their encryption are far beyond our current understanding." Admiral Carter walked to the main display screen and pulled up a star map. What do we know about this Galactic Council? Webb activated his datapad. Very little, but what we do know is not encouraging. Our deep space telescopes have detected unusual energy signatures from several nearby star systems over the past decade. If this council controls even a fraction of those systems, their combined military power would dwarf anything Earth could put into space. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Earth's entire space fleet consisted of maybe 200 ships, most of them exploratory vessels with minimal weapons. If the aliens had fleets from 12 different worlds, the numbers would be overwhelming. How long do we have? Admiral Carter asked. 30 galactic standard days, Webb replied. Based on their mathematical constants, that works out to about 28 Earth days. Admiral Carter was quiet for a long moment, staring at the star map. Finally, she turned to face the room. Gentlemen, we have a choice to make. We can surrender our freedom and live under alien rule, or we can find a way to fight back against impossible odds. Jake looked at the faces around him. These were Earth's best military minds, people who had dedicated their lives to protecting humanity, but they were facing something far beyond anything they had ever imagined. What are our options? Jake asked. Admiral Carter smiled grimly. That depends on what secrets our government has been keeping from us. Commander Webb, I want you to contact President Karen Hayes immediately. Tell her we need an emergency meeting of the United Defense Council within 6 hours. Webb nodded and headed for the communications center. Jake watched him go, wondering what kind of secrets the government might be hiding. Earth had always been careful about its military development, but surely they could not have anything that would stand up to an alien invasion. Admiral Carter walked over to Jake and put her hand on his shoulder. Captain, I want you to start calculating how long it would take to recall all our ships and prepare our defenses. We may not have much time. Jake nodded and turned back to his console. As he began pulling up fleet positions and travel times, he could not help but wonder if this was the beginning of the end for human independence. The aliens had given them 30 days, but Jake suspected that Earth's response would determine the fate of the entire human race. The countdown had begun. Admiral Lisa Carter drove through the mountain roads of Colorado in complete silence. The emergency meeting with President Karen Hayes had lasted 12 hours, and now she was heading to a place that officially did not exist. The coordinates led to what appeared to be an abandoned mining facility. But Carter knew better. The security checkpoint was hidden so well that most people would drive right past it. Carter showed her identification to guards who seemed to appear from nowhere. After 3 separate security scans, she was finally allowed to continue up the winding road. Dr. Alex Turner was waiting for her at the entrance to the underground facility. He looked tired and worried, but there was something else in his eyes that Carter had not expected to see: hope. Admiral, thank you for coming so quickly, Dr. Turner said as he led her into an elevator that descended much deeper than any normal building would require. I know President Hayes told you very little about what we have been working on here. Carter nodded. The president had only said that Earth might have more options than anyone realized. The elevator continued down for what felt like several minutes before finally stopping. The doors opened onto a vast underground complex that took Carter's breath away. The cavern had been carved out of solid rock and reinforced with the most advanced materials Earth could produce. Hundreds of scientists and engineers moved between workstations that were filled with technology Carter had never seen before. Welcome to Project Thunderbolt, Dr. Turner said proudly. We have been working on this for 5 years, ever since our deep space monitors first detected signs of advanced alien activity. Patricia King, the lead weapons engineer, joined them as they walked through the facility. She was a small woman with intense eyes who had spent her entire career designing new ways to protect Earth from threats both known and unknown. Admiral, what do you know about kinetic warfare? Patricia asked as they approached a massive display screen that showed technical diagrams of some kind of missile system. The basics, Carter replied. Using physical objects as weapons instead of energy beams or explosives. Patricia smiled. That is exactly right, but we have taken the concept much further than anyone thought possible. Let me show you what we have built. The display screen changed to show a sleek missile that was about 20 feet long and 3 feet wide. It looked almost simple compared to the energy weapons that most science fiction movies showed, but Carter could sense there was much more to it than met the eye. Dr. Turner pointed to different parts of the missile on the screen. This is a relativistic kill vehicle powered by an antimatter engine. The basic concept is simple. We accelerate a solid projectile to about 30% of light speed and aim it at a target. Carter stared at the screen in amazement. 30% of light speed? That is impossible with current technology. Not anymore, Patricia said with obvious pride. The breakthrough came when we figured out how to contain and control antimatter in quantities large enough to power these engines. Each missile carries enough antimatter fuel to accelerate continuously for weeks. Dr. Turner activated a simulation on the screen that showed the missile in flight. At 30% light speed, a projectile weighing just 2 tons carries the kinetic energy of several nuclear weapons. The physics are simple. Energy equals 1/2 mass times velocity squared, and when velocity gets this high, even small objects become incredibly destructive. Carter watched the simulation and began to understand what she was seeing. This was not just a new weapon. This was a completely different approach to warfare that could change everything. How many of these do we have? Carter asked. Currently, we have 212 Thunderbolt missiles fully assembled and ready to launch, Patricia replied. We also have production facilities in the asteroid belt that can build more, but it takes about 6 weeks to complete each missile. Colonel Steve Nash appeared beside them, carrying a tablet full of tactical information. He had been working with the Thunderbolt team for 2 years, developing strategies for how to use these weapons most effectively. Admiral, the aliens have a significant advantage in terms of numbers and traditional technology, Colonel Nash explained. But their defensive systems are designed to stop energy weapons like plasma cannons and laser beams. They use electromagnetic shields that can deflect or absorb most forms of directed energy. Carter was beginning to see where this was going. But kinetic weapons would go right through energy shields. Exactly, Nash confirmed. A solid object moving at 30% light speed cannot be stopped by any known form of energy barrier. The momentum is simply too great. Dr. Turner brought up another display that showed tracking and targeting systems. The real challenge is accuracy across interstellar distances. We have solved this problem by using quantum entanglement communication systems to update the missile guidance computers during flight. Patricia pointed to technical details on the screen. Each missile can adjust its trajectory right up until the moment of impact. We can hit a target the size of a spaceship from 4 light years away with better than 90% accuracy. Carter felt a surge of excitement that she had not experienced since her early days as a fighter pilot. Earth was not as helpless as everyone believed. These weapons could reach any target in the galaxy, and no known defense could stop them. General Matt Collins entered the control room carrying a folder of strategic plans. He had been working with the Thunderbolt team to develop deployment options for different scenarios. Admiral, we have been analyzing the alien ultimatum, General Collins said as he opened his folder. If we are going to use these weapons, we need to make sure we send exactly the right message. Carter looked at the general with interest. What do you recommend? A demonstration? Collins replied without hesitation. We need to show them what we can do without starting a full-scale war. Our intelligence indicates there is a galactic Council patrol fleet in the Proxima Centauri system. If we could disable or destroy part of that fleet, it would prove that Earth can strike their forces anywhere in the galaxy. Dr. Turner nodded thoughtfully. The Proxima system is about 4.3 light-years from Earth. Our missiles would take approximately 14 years to reach the target at maximum speed. 14 years? Carter asked in surprise. That would be at full relativistic velocity, Patricia explained. But we do not need maximum speed for a demonstration. We could reach Proxima in about 6 weeks if we program the missiles to accelerate continuously throughout the journey. Colonel Nash pulled up targeting data on his tablet. Our deep space telescopes have been tracking the patrol fleet for several months. 3 ships, probably cruiser class based on their energy signatures, perfect for showing them what our weapons can do. Carter looked around the room at these brilliant scientists and military strategists who had been preparing for this moment. For years, they had built weapons that could strike targets across interstellar space with pinpoint accuracy, something no other species had ever achieved. How quickly could we launch? Carter asked. The missiles are ready now, Dr. Turner replied. We just need targeting coordinates and authorization from the highest levels of government. General Collins smiled grimly. I think President Hayes will be very interested in this option. The aliens gave us 30 days to surrender. Maybe it is time we gave them something to think about instead. Carter felt a deep sense of satisfaction as she looked around the underground facility. Earth was not going to surrender without a fight. The Galactic Council had made the mistake of threatening a species that had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of warfare. They were about to learn that humans had some very unpleasant surprises waiting for them. The countdown had begun. But now Earth was ready to send a message of its own. President Karen Hayes stood in the Situation Room deep beneath the White House. Surrounded by her top military advisors and scientists, the decision had been made. Earth would not surrender to alien demands, and Operation Shockwave was now officially authorized. Admiral Lisa Carter activated the secure communication link to the Thunderbolt facility in Colorado. Dr. Alex Turner appeared on the main screen, his face serious but determined. Dr. Turner, you have full authorization to proceed with the demonstration, Admiral Carter said clearly. Target the Galactic Council patrol fleet in the Proxima Centauri system as planned. Commander Sarah Phillips was already at her targeting station, working with the most advanced computers Earth had ever built. The challenge was incredible. She had to calculate the exact position of alien ships that were over 4 light-years away, accounting for their movement patterns, orbital mechanics, and the travel time of Earth's weapons. Targeting solution confirmed for 3 Thunderbolt missiles, Commander Phillips reported. The enemy fleet consists of 3 vessels in standard patrol formation around Proxima Centauri. Based on their movement patterns over the past 6 months, we can predict their positions with high accuracy. Dr. Turner switched to a technical display that showed the missile launch sequence. Each Thunderbolt missile will launch from a different hidden platform in the asteroid belt. This will make it impossible for the aliens to track the launch point back to Earth directly. Lieutenant Ben Rodriguez was working frantically at his communications station, preparing Earth's message to accompany the attack. The timing had to be perfect. The transmission would need to arrive at exactly the same moment as the missiles, so the aliens would understand immediately what had happened. Message prepared and ready for transmission, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported. It will be sent using our most powerful quantum communication array at the moment of impact. Admiral Carter read the message one final time. The words were simple but devastating. The Galactic Council sent Earth a threat. Earth is sending a warning. These projectiles traveled 4 light-years to reach you. Every Council world is within range. Choose wisely. Colonel Steve Nash monitored the launch preparations from his tactical station. 3 separate asteroid mining platforms had been secretly converted into missile launch sites over the past 2 years. Each platform was positioned perfectly to send its Thunderbolt missile toward Proxima Centauri along a different trajectory. All launch platforms report ready status, Colonel Nash announced. Missiles are loaded and antimatter engines are primed for ignition. Dr. Turner looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leadership. This moment would change everything. Either Earth would demonstrate that it could defend itself against impossible odds, or they would provoke a war that could destroy their entire civilization. Launch authorization confirmed, President Hayes said firmly. Execute Operation Shockwave. Commander Phillips pressed the launch button on her console. Across the solar system, 3 Thunderbolt missiles ignited their antimatter engines and began their journey toward the stars. Each missile started accelerating immediately, building speed that would eventually carry them to 30% of light speed. Captain Jake Morrison monitored the launches from Earth Defense Station Alpha, tracking the missiles as they departed the solar system. The weapons were invisible to most detection methods, but Earth's quantum sensors could follow their progress for the first few days of flight. All three missiles have cleared the heliopause and are on course for Proxima Centauri, Captain Morrison reported. Estimated travel time is 42 days at current acceleration curves, the waiting began. For the next 6 weeks, Earth's leadership could only watch and hope that their calculations were correct. The missiles were beyond any human control. Now, guided only by their quantum computers and the laws of physics. Patricia King spent the waiting period running simulations of the impact. Her computers modeled every possible variable, from the alien ship's defensive capabilities to the exact angle of approach that would cause maximum damage. The impact velocity will be approximately 90,000 kilometers per second, Patricia reported during one of the daily briefings. At that speed, each missile carries the kinetic energy equivalent of a 50-megaton nuclear weapon. General Matt Collins coordinated with intelligence services around the world, monitoring all possible alien communication channels. Earth needed to know immediately how the Galactic Council reacted to the attack. Commander Ryan Webb had positioned listening posts at the edge of the solar system to detect any alien response. If the Council decided to retaliate immediately, Earth would have very little warning before their fleets arrived. No sign of alien activity in our local region, Commander Webb reported. All deep space sensors are operating normally, and we have not detected any unusual energy signatures approaching our system. As the weeks passed, tension built throughout Earth's military command structure. Everyone knew that the next few days would determine the fate of human civilization. Either the demonstration would convince the aliens to back down, or it would trigger the war that Earth was desperately trying to avoid. On day 41, Lieutenant Rodriguez detected the first signs that the missiles were approaching their target. The quantum communication links with the Thunderbolt weapons were still functioning, confirming that all three missiles remained on course and were accelerating according to plan. Final approach confirmed, Rodriguez announced to the assembled leadership. Impact in approximately 18 hours. Dr. Turner activated the main display screen to show a real-time simulation of the attack. Based on data from Earth's deep space telescopes, the alien patrol fleet was exactly where their computers had predicted it would be. Target acquisition confirmed, Commander Phillips reported from her station. All three missiles have locked onto their assigned targets and are making final trajectory adjustments. The last few hours passed with agonizing slowness. Earth's leaders sat in the Situation Room, watching the countdown timer approach 0. Everything they had worked for over the past 5 years came down to the next few minutes. Impact in 60 seconds, Phillips announced. President Hayes looked around the room at her advisors and military commanders. These people had risked everything on a plan that seemed impossible just weeks ago. Now they were about to find out if human ingenuity could triumph over alien technology. Impact in 10 seconds, Phillips counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The simulation showed 3 bright flashes as the Thunderbolt missiles struck their targets at 90,000 kilometers per second. The kinetic energy release was enormous, far exceeding anything the alien ships could have been designed to withstand, Lieutenant. Rodriguez immediately transmitted Earth's message toward Proxima Centauri. The quantum communication would arrive at the same time as news of the attack, ensuring that the Galactic Council understood exactly what had happened. Message transmitted, Rodriguez confirmed. The aliens should receive it within the next few minutes. Commander Webb monitored his deep space sensors for any sign of alien communications. Earth needed to know how the Galactic Council was reacting to this unprecedented attack on their forces. Admiral, I am detecting massive communication activity from multiple star systems, Webb reported excitedly. The aliens are clearly responding to something, and the volume of traffic suggests they are in a state of emergency. Admiral Carter allowed herself a small smile. The demonstration had worked exactly as planned. For the first time in galactic history, someone had struck a council fleet with weapons they could not defend against. Earth had just announced to the galaxy that humanity would not go quietly into alien servitude. The real test would come in the next few days, when the council decided how to respond to this unexpected challenge to their authority. Commander Ryan Webb stared at his monitoring station in amazement as alien communications flooded every frequency his equipment could detect. The volume of traffic was unlike anything Earth had ever intercepted before. The Galactic Council was clearly in complete chaos. Admiral Lisa Carter stood behind Webb's chair, reading the translated messages as they appeared on his screen. The alien languages were complex, but Earth's computers had been analyzing Council communications for years, and could now provide rough translations of most intercepted signals. "Admiral, they are panicking," Webb said with obvious satisfaction. "Look at this transmission from their military command. They are demanding to know how primitive species could penetrate their defensive shields with weapons that move faster than anything in their experience." On the main display screen, Dr. Alex Turner was coordinating with his team at the Thunderbolt facility. The successful demonstration had proven that Earth's weapons could reach any target in the galaxy, but it had also created a dangerous new problem. "The aliens are calling emergency sessions on at least 8 different worlds," Dr. Turner reported from Colorado. "Our deep space telescopes are detecting massive fleet movements throughout Council space. Some of their ships appear to be retreating from forward positions, while others are massing for what looks like a major military operation." President Karen Hayes entered the Situation Room with her security detail, having been wakened from sleep by the flood of alien communications. The success of Operation Shockwave was better than anyone had dared hope, but it was also more dangerous. "What is their current status?" President Hayes asked as she took her seat at the head of the conference table. "Commander." Webb pulled up a summary of the intercepted communications on the main screen. "Madam President, we are seeing evidence of serious disagreement within the Galactic Council leadership. At least 3 species are demanding immediate withdrawal from our region of space, while others are calling for massive retaliation before we can launch additional attacks." Admiral Carter felt a chill as she read the more aggressive alien messages. Earth's demonstration had been intended to show strength and deter further threats, but it might have convinced the Council that humanity was too dangerous to be allowed to survive. "Are they planning to attack us directly?" President Hayes asked. Webb highlighted several particularly concerning transmissions on his screen. "Some of their military leaders are discussing the deployment of planet-killer weapons. They seem to believe that Earth represents an existential threat to their entire civilization." Dr. Turner's face appeared on the communication screen from the Thunderbolt facility. His expression was grim as he delivered his analysis of the situation. "The aliens are terrified because they have never faced weapons like ours before," Dr. Turner explained. "Their entire military doctrine is based on energy shields and plasma weapons. They have no defense against relativistic kinetic projectiles, and they know it." Patricia King joined Dr. Turner on the screen, carrying a tablet full of technical data. Her weapons engineering team had been analyzing the impact results and planning Earth's next moves. "We need to follow up immediately with a much larger demonstration," Patricia said urgently. "If the Council decides to attack Earth with planet killers, we have to make sure they understand the consequences." General Matt Collins activated his tactical display and began outlining a new operation that his staff had been developing over the past few hours. The plan was ambitious and incredibly risky, but it might be the only way to prevent a full-scale alien invasion. "Operation Thunder Storm," General Collins announced. "We simultaneously target every major Council military installation within 50 light-years of Earth, not to destroy them completely, but to disable their ability to launch attacks against us." Admiral Carter studied the tactical plan with growing amazement. The operation would require launching 50 Thunderbolt missiles at 12 different star systems, with each weapon programmed for surgical strikes against specific military targets. Can we do that? Admiral Carter asked Dr. Turner. We have 57 additional missiles ready for immediate launch, Dr. Turner confirmed. The challenge is targeting. We need to hit command centers, shipyards, and weapons manufacturing facilities without causing mass civilian casualties. Commander Sarah Phillips had been working on targeting solutions since the first reports of alien panic began arriving. Her computers were calculating precise strike coordinates for dozens of military installations across Council space. Surgical strikes are possible but extremely difficult, Phillips reported from her station. We need to reprogram each missile for a specific target type. Command centers require different approach angles than shipyards or manufacturing facilities. Lieutenant Ben Rodriguez was preparing a new message to accompany the expanded attack. Earth's communication had to be perfectly clear about their intentions and capabilities. The message needs to explain that we can eliminate their entire military infrastructure whenever we choose, Rodriguez said as he worked on the draft. But we also need to make it clear that we do not want to conquer or destroy them. We just want to be left alone. Captain Jake Morrison was coordinating with tracking stations around the solar system to monitor alien fleet movements. Earth needed to know immediately if the Council decided to launch a preemptive attack. Admiral, we are detecting at least 40 alien ships moving toward our region of space, Morrison reported with concern. Based on their energy signatures, these appear to be much larger vessels than the patrol ships we destroyed at Proxima. President Hayes looked around the room at her military and scientific advisors. The situation was escalating rapidly, and Earth had very little time to act before the alien fleets arrived in force. How long before those ships reach our system? President Hayes asked. Webb consulted his tracking data and ran quick calculations on his computer. Based on their current speed and trajectory, approximately 2 weeks. But some of those ships appear to have faster-than-light capability that our sensors cannot fully analyze. Admiral Carter made a decision that would affect the entire future of human civilization. Earth could not wait to see what the aliens intended to do with their approaching fleets. Authorization granted for Operation Thunderstorm, Admiral Carter announced. Launch immediately against all designated targets. Dr. Turner nodded grimly from his screen. Acknowledged, Admiral. All missiles will launch within the next 6 hours. Estimated travel times range from 3 weeks to 2 months depending on target distance. Patricia King began the complex process of programming 50 different Thunderbolt missiles for their individual missions. Each weapon had to be precisely calibrated to disable specific military systems without causing unnecessary destruction. Each missile will carry quantum communication equipment that allows us to transmit surrender terms at the moment of impact, Patricia explained as she worked. The aliens will receive our demands at exactly the same time they realize their military infrastructure is being systematically destroyed. Commander Webb continued monitoring alien communications as Earth prepared its massive retaliation. The intercepted messages showed that the Council was completely unprepared for the scale of Earth's response. They still do not understand how our weapons work, Webb reported. Some of their scientists are theorizing that we have developed some form of instantaneous matter transmission. They cannot comprehend kinetic weapons that travel at relativistic speeds. Over the next few hours, 50 Thunderbolt missiles launched from hidden platforms throughout the solar system. Each weapon began its journey toward a different alien world, carrying enough kinetic energy to cripple the most advanced military installations in the galaxy. General Collins coordinated the launch sequence to ensure maximum psychological impact. The missiles were timed to arrive at their targets within hours of each other, creating the impression that Earth could strike everywhere simultaneously. All missiles away, Collins reported as the last Thunderbolt cleared the solar system. The Council worlds will begin receiving our message in approximately 3 weeks. Admiral Carter looked at the strategic display showing the paths of 50 different missiles, streaking toward alien targets across dozens of star systems. Earth had just launched the most ambitious military operation in human history. The aliens had threatened to destroy human civilization if Earth did not surrender. Now they were about to learn that humanity had the ability to cripple their entire military structure from across the galaxy. The balance of power was about to shift in ways that no one in the Galactic Council could have imagined possible. Earth was no longer the helpless prey that the aliens had expected to find. The hunters had just discovered that their intended victim had very sharp teeth. The first reports of successful impacts began arriving 3 weeks after. Earth launched Operation Thunderstorm. Commander Ryan Webb watched his screens fill with intercepted alien communications as Council military installations across 12 star systems simultaneously went offline. Admiral Lisa Carter stood in the Situation Room reading the damage reports with deep satisfaction. Earth's Thunderbolt missiles had performed exactly as designed, striking their targets with pinpoint accuracy and devastating effect. The Zephyrian shipyards at Alpha Centauri have been completely destroyed, Webb reported as he translated the emergency alien transmissions. Their main fleet construction facility is gone, along with 47 vessels that were under construction. President Karen Hayes reviewed the strategic display showing impact locations across Galactic Council. Space. Every major military installation within 50 light-years of Earth had been either destroyed or severely damaged. The aliens' ability to project military power had been crippled in a single coordinated strike. Dr. Alex Turner appeared on the communication screen from the Thunderbolt facility, his face showing exhaustion but also triumph. His weapons had just proven that Earth could defeat any enemy in the galaxy, regardless of their technological advantages. All 50 missiles found their targets, Dr. Turner reported. The quantum communication links transmitted our terms simultaneously. With each impact, the Council leadership should be receiving our demands right now. Lieutenant Ben Rodriguez had spent weeks crafting Earth's final message to the Galactic Council. The terms were simple but non-negotiable, and they were delivered at the moment when alien military leaders realized the full extent of their vulnerability. The message explains that Earth has the capability to destroy every Council military asset in the galaxy, Rodriguez said as he read from his prepared text. We demand immediate cessation of all hostile actions against Earth, formal recognition of human territorial rights, and the establishment of diplomatic relations based on mutual respect. The alien response came faster than anyone had expected. Within hours of the attacks, the Galactic Council transmitted a formal request for immediate negotiations. The arrogant ultimatum they had sent Earth just weeks earlier was replaced by humble diplomatic language requesting safe passage for their ambassadors. Captain Jake Morrison coordinated Earth security preparations as the most powerful alien delegation in galactic history prepared to visit the solar system. The species that had threatened to destroy human civilization were now coming to Earth to ask for terms. Commander Sarah Phillips worked with the diplomatic security team to establish protocols for the unprecedented meeting. No alien had ever set foot on Earth before, and the safety of both sides had to be guaranteed during the negotiations. The Council is sending their most senior ambassador, Phillips reported from her briefing notes. Ambassador Zeth Kaller represents the hegemony, which appears to be their dominant species. He is requesting permission to bring a full diplomatic delegation to Earth. Admiral Carter smiled as she reviewed the intelligence reports about the approaching alien delegation. The same species that had demanded Earth's surrender were now traveling across interstellar space to negotiate with the humans they had underestimated so badly. The negotiations took place in a specially constructed facility. At the United Nations headquarters in New York, Earth's delegation was led by President Hayes and Admiral Carter, supported by the military leaders and scientists who had planned humanity's successful resistance. Ambassador Zeth Kaller was a tall, graceful being with silver skin and large dark eyes that showed unmistakable intelligence. He spoke through a translation device that rendered his complex language into perfect English. His first words were an acknowledgement of Earth's unexpected capabilities. "We greatly underestimated your species," Ambassador Zeth Kaller admitted as the formal negotiations began. "The Galactic Council has existed for over 2,000 years, and never before has a newly discovered species demonstrated such advanced military capabilities. Dr. Turner was invited to explain Earth's weapons technology to the amazed alien delegation. The concept of relativistic kinetic warfare was completely foreign to species that had focused on energy-based defensive systems. "Your approach to warfare is unlike anything in our experience," the alien ambassador said after Dr. Turner finished his technical presentation. "We developed energy shields to counter energy weapons, but we never considered that someone might perfect the art of simply throwing objects at extreme velocity." Patricia King demonstrated the precision capabilities of Earth's targeting systems by showing the aliens exactly how each military installation had been struck. The surgical strikes had been designed to disable rather than destroy, proving that humans could show restraint even when wielding overwhelming power. "You could have destroyed our worlds entirely," Ambassador Zeph Kaller observed with obvious amazement. "Instead, you chose to eliminate only our military capabilities while sparing civilian populations. This restraint is not something the Council expected from a species we believe to be primitively aggressive." General Matt Collins outlined Earth's territorial requirements during the diplomatic sessions. Humanity wanted a 50-light-year exclusion zone around their solar system, along with guaranteed freedom of movement for human exploration and colonization efforts. "Earth does not seek to conquer or dominate other species," General Collins explained to the assembled alien delegates. "We simply want the freedom to develop our civilization without interference or threats from outside powers." The Council delegates were fascinated by humanity's approach to interstellar relations. Most species that developed relativistic weapons immediately began campaigns of galactic conquest. Earth's restraint and focus on defensive capabilities was completely unprecedented in their experience. Commander Webb presented the intelligence Earth had gathered about Council military capabilities over the past several years. The aliens were surprised to learn that humans had been quietly observing their activities and preparing countermeasures long before first contact. "Your species shows remarkable strategic thinking," Ambassador Zeph Kaller commented as he reviewed Earth's intelligence reports. "Most civilizations react to threats after they materialize. You prepared for possibilities that had not yet occurred." The final agreement took 3 days to negotiate, but the terms were more favorable to Earth than anyone had dared hope. The Galactic Council formally recognized human sovereignty over a 50-light-year sphere around the solar system, along with guaranteed rights for peaceful exploration and colonization. In exchange, Earth agreed to share certain technological innovations with the Council, particularly in the areas of quantum communication and precision targeting systems. The aliens were especially interested in learning how humans had achieved such accuracy across interstellar distances. Dr. Turner found himself working with alien scientists who were eager to understand human approaches to physics and engineering. The exchange of knowledge benefited both sides, as Earth gained access to advanced alien technologies in return for sharing their unique military innovations. President Hayes addressed the people of Earth as the alien delegation prepared to return to Council space. The successful negotiations had transformed humanity from a threatened species into a major galactic power in just 2 months. "Today marks the beginning of a new era for human civilization," President Hayes announced from the White House. "Earth has proven that we can defend ourselves against any threat, but more importantly, we have shown that strength and diplomacy can work together to create lasting peace." Captain Morrison was selected to lead the first joint human-alien patrol mission, establishing new protocols for cooperation between former enemies. The patrols would ensure that both sides honored their agreements while building trust through shared operations. The alien fleet that had been approaching Earth just weeks earlier was now departing in peace, carrying news of humanity's unexpected capabilities back to Council worlds throughout the galaxy. Earth had gone from facing extinction to commanding respect in the span of a single month. Admiral Carter stood in the rebuilt command center of Earth Defense Station Alpha, watching as human and alien ships conducted joint exercises in the outer solar system. The cooperation would have been unimaginable just months earlier. Commander Phillips coordinated the establishment of permanent diplomatic posts on both Earth and several council worlds. The ongoing exchange of ambassadors and technical experts would help prevent future misunderstandings. While promoting peaceful development, Lieutenant Rodriguez managed the new interstellar communication networks that connected Earth directly to the Council's quantum transmission systems. For the first time in human history, Earth could communicate instantly with civilizations across the galaxy. Patricia King continued developing new defensive technologies, but now her work focused on protecting Earth's expanding colonies rather than preparing for alien invasion. The threat of galactic war had been replaced by the challenges of peaceful expansion. Dr. Turner established joint research programs with council scientists, combining human ingenuity with alien knowledge to push the boundaries of physics and engineering.